how to invite people to take a look at the opportunity. All right? This is one of the biggest areas that we've got to teach people because, now that I'm going to pretend that you're brand new and that you just got started, like you just signed up yesterday or the day before, and now you've made your list, and it's time for you to start calling people. And by the way, put this in your notes and take great notes today, folks, because I want to share with you exactly how we're doing it, how we're creating an explosion. Just on our team alone, yesterday, $93,000 of lifestyle bonuses paid out just to the folks on our team. 2 months ago, that number was only $34,000, right? And we're pressing on. Our goal is to have a month where we have over $1 million in lifestyle bonuses paid out in a single month to people, new people on the team. And one of the ways that we're able to do that is we teach them how to invite, how to get people to take a look at the opportunity. This is a very, very important skill. So make sure you take great notes here. One of the things that we do is when we give people the assignment to make a list, we tell them, don't call anybody. We don't want you to call anybody. We don't want you to talk to anybody because we're going to teach you exactly what to say. We teach folks, don't send a text message blast out to everybody on your list and tell them, hey, I got this great opportunity I'm going to be calling you about. Because that's one way to totally burn up your list right away. Those folks are not going to answer the phone when you call. We teach people, don't send out an email blast to everybody saying, hey, I'm so excited. I found this great company, this great product, and I want to talk to you about it. Because guess what? When you start calling them, they already know what you're calling about. They think they know, and so they don't answer the phone. And so we're going to teach you what to do. There's no substitute for picking up the phone and calling people. So many people want to hide behind technology, not just the prospects, but the folks in the business, the franchise partners. You want to hide behind technology because they're afraid to call people because they're afraid of rejection. But we're going to teach you an invitation today that doesn't get a whole lot of rejection. As a matter of fact, it works extremely well. And one of the reasons that it works is because we're focused on inviting. Okay, so I want to make sure that you focus on inviting. Have you ever gone to clean your house, right? And by the way, guys, keep that question box going. Give me feedback. Let me know if this is helpful information to you, all right? But in any event, have you ever had a time when you start out cleaning your house and, maybe you start out in the kitchen and you decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to clean the kitchen. And you find something that belongs in one of the bedrooms. So you pick it up and you take it in the bedroom and you realize the bedroom is in disarray. So you start cleaning up things in that bedroom. And then you find something that belongs in one of the other rooms of the house. So you pick it up, you take it in that room, and you start kind of cleaning up around there. Then you realize an hour or 2 hours has gone by, and you haven't completed cleaning any particular room. It's because you started out doing one thing and you allowed yourself to get sidetracked to do another thing. And you know what? That's what happens to people when they're inviting. Because they'll start out inviting, but guess what? They'll end up presenting. Right? When you start answering questions or trying to sell too much, you go from inviting to presenting. And what we want to teach you today is how to invite when you're inviting and how to present when you're presenting. Okay? And when you do that, it's going to be very, very successful. One of the things that we do is we use a principle called the 3 C's. This is our success principle. And if you remember this formula, it's going to help you to invite in such a way that you're going to be real successful. Okay, so what are the 3 C's? The 3 C's work like this. Number 1 is create curiosity. Number 2 is to control yourself, to not give out a bunch of information and answer the questions. And number 3 is to get a firm commitment. Okay? So just kind of go slow. Create curiosity. So when you invite whatever it is that you say, whether you say what I teach you today or your own version of it, just make sure that you're creating curiosity but not giving a presentation. Okay? That's something very important to remember. That you're saying just enough to pique their interest and make them want to take a look. Because that's your objective, right? When you're calling them, all you want is for them to take a look. You're not trying to recruit them. You're not trying to sell them. You're just trying to get them to take a look. And you know what? We know that what we've got is so good that if they take a look, a professional quality look, but guess what? they're going to want to join us. They're going to want to be a part of what we're doing. And so remember, that's all we're doing in that create curiosity part. Now, after you say what you're going to say, people being people are going to ask you some questions. That's just how we are. We're inquisitive by nature. And you can't control them and keep them from asking questions, but you can control yourself and keep yourself from answering questions. Because, you know, if you live in a country where they have Lay's potato chips, in America they have a brand of potato chips called Lay's. And the Lay's potato chip commercial says, Lay's potato chips, you can't eat just one. You know, they say their potato chips are so good that if you eat one, you're going to have to eat another one. And you know what? The questions that people ask you are just like Lay's potato chips. You can't answer just one. So they'll ask one question, and you'll answer it. And next thing you know, that'll create another question, and you'll answer that. And by the way, once you start answering all these questions, you are no longer inviting. You are now giving information. And when you start giving information, that is called a presentation, and it's not going to be a good one. It's going to be a disorganized, disjointed presentation, and your prospect is likely to make a big decision on little information. And so you don't want to be answering those questions. You know, you want to think about those questions kind of like going to grandma's house. When grandma is cooking a big meal for the family, you know, maybe for one of the holidays like Christmas or something. And so grandma's in the kitchen, and she's got, you know, 6 or 7 or 8 different dishes going and a dessert, and the house is smelling really good. And you go in the kitchen, and you try to get a little bit out of one of those pots. What happens? Pow! Grandma smacks your hand with that wooden cooking spoon and says, get out of my kitchen. Why? Because Grandma wants you to experience it the way she's got it put all together at the dining room table, all spread out perfectly, her entire presentation of the meal. And she knows that if she lets you pick a little bit here and pick a little bit there, then you're not going to have an appetite, and you're not going to want what she presents. Well, that's the same thing that happens when people are asking you those questions. I want you to think of yourself as grandma, and they're trying to eat out of your pot, and you don't want to, you know, spoil their appetite for the opportunity. And the last thing is you want to get a firm, solid commitment. I'm going to teach you how to do that today in such a way that will raise your show-up ratio, your ratio of people keeping their appointments from 30% to 50%, or even 50% to as much as 70%. So we're going to go ahead and get started and dig into this invitation. You guys ready? Here we go. I'm going to show you now how to invite to a 30-minute PGDsystem.com presentation. Okay? Now, after this section, I'm going to show you how to do a 30-minute PGDsystem.com presentation. But right now, I'm going to show you how to invite people to do that. And by the way, why a 30-minute presentation? Because everybody can give you 30 minutes. You got to learn. Ask people for things that they can say yes to. So many times what happens is we get a no because we're asking people for things that are hard for them to say yes to at that point in time. Like we can't ask them to buy. We can't ask them to sign up or join in that conversation. You know, even if you say things like, hey, I got something I think you'd be interested in, you know, that's backing them in a corner. If you say, hey, I've got something I think you'd be good at or you'd be great at, that's backing them into a corner. It makes it really hard for them to say yes because they're obligated. But you know what's easy for people to say yes to? 30 minutes. Because just think, if you're calling your friends, your family, your associates, if you ask them to go to lunch with you, just a random lunch, not to talk about anything in particular, they'd say yes, and how much time would they give you? Man, they'd give you, what, an hour, maybe 2 hours of sitting there just idle chit-chat about the weather, politics, and sports? You know, if you ask one of your friends, hey, let's go to a movie, let's go to dinner and a movie, they say, yeah, and you schedule it. And how much time would they give you? What, an hour, hour and a half for the dinner, and then maybe another 2 hours for the movie. It's almost 3-4 hours. So if they would give you all that time, 30 minutes is just fine, right? And besides, all we're doing is we're asking them to look. I like to say, I can't require my friends to buy, but I can require my friends to look. You know, ladies, just think about it. If you opened up a shoe boutique, wouldn't you expect all of your girlfriends to come and at least look at your shoes? I mean, could you imagine you're at a girls' event and one of your buddies, one of your girlfriends says, yeah, I went to a wedding yesterday and I got these amazing shoes from the mall, and she never even came by to look at your shoes? Wouldn't you be upset? Now, you wouldn't be upset if she came by to your boutique and she looked at your shoes and you didn't have her size, you didn't have her color, you didn't have her style, so she gave you a shot that she didn't buy, then you'd be okay at least because she tried, right? Or guys, if you had a restaurant, wouldn't you expect your friends to at least come by and look at the menu and see if there's something on your menu that they might eat? And so that's all we're doing here. We just want them to take a look, and this 30-minute presentation allows us to do that. So how do you get people to do that? Here's the script. I like to call people up, and the conversation goes kind of like this. I'm going to use one of you guys that's over here on the webinar. I'm going to randomly pick Daniel Lewis, okay? So Daniel Lewis is my friend that I'm calling to take a look at this. And so I'm going to call him up. I'm going to say, hey, Daniel, this is T. Gray. How you doing? How's your family? How's work? Okay? So you want to make sure that you're cordial. You're not rude, right? Let's take time to be above the fray and to show, to be leaders in every aspect, even in being polite. So, hey, Daniel, this is T. Gray calling. How you doing? How's your family? Awesome. Now, I'm going to transition the conversation. Watch this. Okay, hey, great. Listen, real quick. I teamed up with some incredibly professional people. Many of these guys are medical professionals even. And we've partnered up with a reputable healthcare company that's expanding aggressively into, and I forgot where Daniel was from, so now Daniel was from Washington. So it's expanding aggressively into Washington, right, where Daniel is, let's say. So that's how that goes. Hey, Daniel, this is T. Gray. How's the family? Awesome. Great. Real quick, listen. I teamed up with some incredibly professional people. Many of them are medical professionals. And we've partnered with a reputable healthcare company that's expanding aggressively into Washington. Man, his curiosity is going way up, right? Okay, watch what happens next. So Daniel, this represents a big money opportunity for serious business-minded people that want to make some money. Daniel, it might be a good fit for you. It might not be. But at the end of the day, there's no way to know for sure until you get a chance to evaluate the opportunity for yourself. See how simple that is? This represents a big money opportunity for serious business-minded people that want to make some money. Daniel, it might be a good fit for you. It might not be. But at the end of the day, there's no way to know for sure until you get a chance to evaluate the opportunity for yourself. So what am I doing? First of all, I'm giving and I'm taking away, right? So I say it might be a good fit for you, and I take it right back. It might not be, right? But then I'm also leading him about the proper way to do this, which is, hey, no way to know for sure until you get a chance to evaluate the opportunity for yourself, right? So I'm telling him, the smart thing to do is take a look at it. So here's the deal. I'm looking for 30 minutes of your focus and attention where I can share the details with you so you can give this a professional look. We can do this by phone. You just need to be in front of your computer and have access to the internet. You have 30 minutes right now. Okay? Because if you have 30 minutes right now, I'm going to go ahead and give him a presentation. Okay? So here's the deal. I'm looking for 30 minutes of your focus and attention where I can share the details with you so you can give this a professional look. We can do this by phone. You just need to be in front of your computer and have access to the internet. You have 30 minutes right now. Folks, I've been doing this. It works. It's so simple, right? It makes sense. It doesn't trigger any bad things in their brain. It's just leading them down a logical path. They're like, okay, right? Now, if your prospect says, yes, I've got the 30 minutes, here's what you want to do. You want to say, go to www.pgdsystem.com and start your 30-minute presentation, which I'm going to show you how to do in just a little bit. But if your prospect says they don't have the 30 minutes at that time, here's what you say. No problem, Daniel. When can you give me 30 minutes in the next 2 or 3 days? And I'm very specific about the next 2 or 3 days. Why? Because I don't want it next week. I don't want it 2 weeks from now. I don't want it to put me off. I've got a sense of urgency, and I want him to adopt my sense of urgency. So that's why I say, no problem. When can you give me 30 minutes in the next 2 or 3 days? And I'm going to wait and let him go through his calendar and give me a time. I'm not going to let him say, okay, well, let me get back to you. And say, hey, Dan, you know what? You're busy. I'm busy. Why don't you just go ahead and look at your calendar. Let's go ahead and schedule it, and we'll go from there. Okay? So that's how you schedule that. So that's the whole create curiosity part. But remember, we talked about the second C, controlling yourself, because people being people, they're going to ask questions. And remember, one of the questions they love to ask is, well, just give me the name of the company. Folks, you got to understand, the minute you say Unicity International and they say, spell that for me, and you say UNICITY, they have typed it in Google, they're going to get their own presentation from all the stuff that's out there on the internet. Most of it's great, but it's going to be all over the place. It's going to be totally disorganized, and it's totally hit or miss if they're going to join your business. So I don't answer any questions. If they start to ask questions, what's it all about, what's the name of the company, I simply say, listen, Daniel, I'm not prepared to get into those details right now. As a matter of fact, that's why I'm asking you for 30 minutes of focus. All the information is going to be laid out in a professional and organized fashion, and I'm sure you'd agree that's the best way. So when can we get together for 30 minutes? That's it. Don't say, G. Gray told me don't answer the questions. Don't say, they told me I can't answer your questions. Don't get all frazzled. Just stay calm and just say, listen, Daniel, I'm not prepared to get in all those details right now. As a matter of fact, that's why I'm asking you for 30 minutes of focus. All the information is going to be laid out in a professional and organized fashion, and I'm sure you'd agree that that's the best way. So when can we get together for 30 minutes? Why do I end it with a question? Because whoever's asking the question controls the conversation. So I'm giving it the answer, and then I ask the question that puts him back on track to pull out his calendar and schedule the 30 minutes. Okay? Now, after you get the date and time scheduled, here's what you want to say. It's time for the third C. It's time to get that solid commitment. Ready for solid commitment, folks? Here we go. Solid commitment time. Great, Daniel. One last thing. I know that we're both busy people. So if something should come up and you can't keep our appointment for any reason, could you please give me the professional courtesy of a 24-hour advance notice? That way I can slide someone else in that spot. This is so important, folks. And I want you to promise me that you will say this every single time. I don't care if the person that you're inviting is your mama, okay? You got to make sure that you say this every single time. Great, Daniel. One last thing. I know we're both busy people, so if something should come up and you can't keep our appointment for any reason, could you please give me the professional courtesy of a 24-hour advance notice? That way I can slide somebody else in that spot, and then you stop talking and you wait for them to respond. I'll tell you this. Nobody likes for anybody else to be slid in their spot. And very often what I find is that when I say this to people, they go into a long response of how professional they are and how they keep their appointments and how they live by their calendar. And you know what I do, Wade and Lori? I just let them keep talking. I just let them keep telling me all that because you know what it means? It means that let's suppose our appointment is for Monday at 7, that we're going to do our 30 minutes. And you get home from work at Monday at 6 and 6:30, you're starting to feel a little tired and kind of wishing they didn't have that appointment with me at 7 o'clock. They've got to keep it. Number one, it's not 24 hours advance notice. Number two, they swore up and down that they kept their appointment, so they've got to keep their appointment, right? And so here's what I found, that by doing it this way, by saying that last little bit, guess what? I found that most people are actually keeping their appointments. People are asking, are the scripts going to be available after the webinar? Absolutely. We are going to upload the scripts to the download page of pgdsystem.biz. And the good news is we'll be able to do that immediately. This is already all typed up, and we'll put up a basic version followed by a pretty version. But these scripts are absolutely working, okay? So this is very important. Don't be intimidated by your super professional people. You know, makes you special. The more professional they are, you want to make sure you do that because it's going to really make sure that they keep their appointments. Okay? Now, when you're done with that, here's what you say. Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to, let's say, Daniel and I, we agreed to Monday at 7. I look forward to Monday at 7. I'm going to talk to you soon. I've got a few other people I got to reach out to, so I'm going to get going. Okay, Daniel? Take care. Bye for now. And get off the phone. End the conversation. Don't stay on and make small talk, because guess what happens if you do that? Number one, it totally erases any sense of urgency that you created by your tone and pace in that conversation. Because how could you be so urgent? And then now you got time to talk about Little League, right? No, it's time to get off the phone. And two, the longer you stay on the phone, I promise you those questions are going to come back. And you won't be able to get off. You can't say, I don't have time to get into those details right now, because it's 20 minutes later and you're still on the phone. So you want to make sure you get off. end the conversation cordially and quickly and get off. And you know what? Make some more calls. Create some momentum for yourself. Call some more people and get them scheduled. So that's how you invite to a 30-minute pgdsystem.com presentation. But what if you're inviting to a specific event? What if you're inviting to a business meeting, right? So you got the team up in Montreal and Marcelo's up there killing it. What if you're inviting to the weekly business meeting with Marcelo? What if you're inviting to the Wednesday webinar that I do each week? What if you're inviting to, the business presentation down in the Bahamas? Let's give you a specific one that you can use to invite to conference calls, to any particular specific event. And here's the good news. It is 90% the exact same. All right? Almost all the same words from the other one apply to this, except the only difference is how you start. I think the biggest mistake that we make is that we'll start with what we did before, and then we'll try to get them to the event. But now what happens is, if they're kind of iffy, if they're kind of skeptical, then no matter what day and time you pick, they're going to have something to do. So here's what I found works. Let's clear the date and time from the beginning. So here's how it goes. This time, let's see who am I going to use as my partner. I'm going to use Cheryl Winter. Hey, Cheryl, I'm going to use your name this time. I'm going to say, hey, Cheryl, this is T. Gray. How you doing? How's the family? How's business? Awesome. Hey, real quick, Cheryl, what have you got planned on Thursday night at 7 o'clock? Right now, you guys are going crazy. I know you love that. Hit me on that question box and let me know what you think about that, right? That's pretty cool. Start from the beginning with that. Hey, Cheryl, this is T. Gray. How you doing? How's the family? Awesome. Hey, real quick, what have you got planned on Thursday night at 7 p.m.? What do you think most people say? I'll tell you what they say. They say nothing. Why? They're all curious. They want to know what you've got. Maybe what you've got is better than what they've got. And so they say nothing. But at least if they have something else going on, you don't get into that, oh, okay, whatever. Now what happens if they've got something going on, then you just invite them to a 30-minute PGD presentation or whatever the next live event is, and you're not putting yourself in a jam, right? And so that's pretty cool. So if they say nothing, here's what you say, great, perfect, put me down for that time. You got them at that point, like Kenny Gunn says. You got them. Absolutely. Hey, Cheryl T. Gray, what do you got going on Thursday at 7? Nothing. Great. Put me down for that time. And guess what you say next? That's when you kind of transition back to the other script. Say, look, I've teamed up with some real professional people, and you just go from there. Exact same deal. And then, of course, you're confirming at the end that they're going to be there Thursday at 7 and that they've got the address and all that kind of good stuff. I've got 2 very detailed scripts. We're going to put them up on the .biz, on the downloads page. But that's how you invite to a specific event. Wednesday webinar, same thing. It's, Wednesday webinars at 9 o'clock Eastern. Hey, Joe, how you doing? T. Gray, awesome. How's the family? Great. Real quick, Joe, what do you got planned on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock? Or, that's if he's in Central Timer. What do you got planned on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock? He says, nothing. Why? It's going to be home watching TV. Okay, great. Put me down for that time. Here's what we got to do. And then you get into the script as we talked about before. So that's how that goes. That's inviting. It's real simple. And what we want you to do is we just want you to practice that. It's real easy. And, you can read from the paper and you can put your own little spin and flavor to it as long as you follow and stick to the 3 C's.